follow the day. We follow the moment. I have just launched, if that would be a launch, and the reality is this day is involving so much more damages, and I wonder until when, but we are working. I have been walking around expecting I can do something further anything I already done. I've been trying so much other things, and I have been expecting I could make some good. I supposedly would be running, supposedly mind control, while I have been profaned by 9 million witches, which works with the Generado KIRSCHNERS, making the corporation of witches and the generations but teller job for any information to manipulating, staging, obstructing, deflecting, and making any class of saving the moment, and oh, we know who this is and what happens, how don't you tell? And that the Generado Policía Federal Argentina consider of expertise in the product of the corporation that pretends to possess, in Buenos Aires, Ford Motors, making the organization for the soul, and the rest. Ford Motors product, making the organization for, and pretending to be rights, Sodoma, and pretending to possess Ford Motors, with much other. Fortune for us, the owners of the corporations are for making the right job and nothing like this, and no one involved. Thank God. And good people, which we can embrace. You know, suddenly I'm found that I already denounced and already said enough. Do you know what it means to be Argentina? I'm going to tell you this. Gerlich matlikis batlikis griet en bablikis magris batlikis meat. Schkelerre techniat mitsis bati and lakir vespas matleris osiris bit meat. I had this crying out, you heard me so often telling about her, whatever experiences or situations I have been with her. She were since always, but not exactly my blood. She were not of our family, but adopted. And she were adopted from gypsies. And we come, for the contrary, I can say, that is not exactly what anybody can say, and the reason of the Degenerados, which my grandmother, Rafaela Carreras, and my grandfather, which were exhumated from San Luis, St. Louis province, Argentina, where were buried, them rested, and delivered into Israel for a genoma bonds, and were found Jewish genes. And Rafaela Carreras conceived Ermelinda Redmi, which happened the same. The bonds are in Israel, and this is not a joke. And she had Jewish genes. And suddenly, there came Elvira Ballester, which name were Marta Redmi for the adoption. My Marta aunt, which we named permanently to the phone, who had a very DNI, Argentinian ID, 18 million 465,000. I don't remember now, forgive me. I have heard diagnosed. Let's make that. I like the idea to remember she passed away really in no even possibility she were medicated, she were just all fine. 18,573,465. I just said so long this. I have been abandoning her to the doctor. I have been helping her making some meetings for the what it were medicine covership that she had by state. And the reality of she were really so near for about 2 to 3 years. I were helping her and accompanying her, to the doctor for specialties over her suffers and non-feeling really good, and she weren't cyclotemic, which enferma Suddenly, at the reality of what she went through, she said at me a lot of things. Between those things, she really loved me. We had problems, we had situations, we had conditions, and badly siegen is such a smart living. So suddenly, in the middle of this reality happened the clear fact that she really wanted I have something. I bought to her, I remember this product of this laboratory, which supplements, alimentary supplements. She were feeling okay, and she were really like glowing with most ever lucidity, more ever. And suddenly in a very state of self-scheme with best ever capacity to moving and making things, and woke up for more. And suddenly what I gave her is free cells. And third age here are medicated much of times with that, even what other, which is completest on the same trademark, which has the best ever absorption, and is one of the bestest. And if you want to tell you the Roca product of Bayer Laboratories, which used to be Roche Laboratories. And the most ever used is Sabradin. And Sabradin is a very supplement which has a very amazing synergy for what it is biochemics. Thousand. You know, sorry, I have a very sensitive. I'm going to see how do I get with this. Forgive me. Suddenly the same character of this all delivered into the I have been with so much problems and she were not easily living with. The idea where she'll come to living with us, while this I recycled the supposed loan that supposedly we robbed her and should ever tell her, which never happened. At the clear that she were manipulated often, especially for bodies of this. And bodies of Sodoma with pardon of victims, which we have too much. At the clear of the situations and circumstances that she thought, and she had the idea that we robbed her, the Instituto de la Vivienda Gobierno de la Ciudad de Buenos Aires, that Aníbal Ibarra, while, gave her in person, for she to acquire a house. Situation where I moved not so great. I were at the submitting myself and taking the responsibility to the second floor place property and looking around the city, the most ever accessible for what it were the loan value, which were only $25,000 at the moment, 75,000 pesos, while those periods were exactly the element of worth at the currency here in Buenos Aires. 75,000 were 3 to 1. the relaxation. And in the middle of that all, I remember that I saw a couple of that I loved it. I loved them. The idea for this two, which were at the first ever floor, first level, not zero. And she had problems of motricity, neuromotricity, and suddenly at the clear of this, she had serious health consequences, and she were cardiac. She had ischemia. She never had no ACV, but suddenly the state of her tract over venous at the whole of the encephalic state were disastrous. And in the middle of this reality, she had hypertension suffering, and she had a lot of other problems. And all through this, while she was just okay, but from one day to another, while Graciela helping to her and companioning her, suddenly, in a Saturday, she were feeling bad and called Graciela and telling to her that she were feeling terrible. And she already ended the Barocca, and this said that I will kill her with that. And that I also murdered her, and saying he never realized and he never knew. We already researched and knew it, and saying that they made an annexation with no member of the family to be present or no. We will be all narcos and criminals and psychos and dangerous ones. And in the middle of this reality, I remember that I were coming because of my mother says to me that she were feeling bad. Graciela noticed her. So I said, I'm coming. Don't you worry. If you want to come after. I'm just coming right now. After I made a video, took my stuff, and just living. And while this, I just were for about 110 meters away from the door of Hogar Mercedes Borrego, Buenos Aires. And my sister calls me and tells me, wonders me where I found, and saying to her just almost to the corner, and telling to me that she passed away. Thinking as possible I will ever accompany her to be internated to the Sanatorio Argentino, where she had Argentino Sanatory, here near, where she had the right covership. And making this meeting and dealing with the situation and wanting I to leave and taking my family away and putting her and my mother to the care of people that could ever help me. This is something that I wish I could do. You know, before the soul and through the situation, while I were accompanying her, she said to me that she didn't want to the mobile. And she had the very service of CTI in Buenos Aires, while CTI remained and right around. Sorry that. And suddenly at the clear for this, Germasi Shvatlim. And she said that she wanted a simple service of telephony and didn't want to be charging battery and dealing with no situation, and had the very Nokia 1100 model with a simple prepaid line for CTI. And she, with not wanting and not knowing for the reason of the acquiring Claro, at the Argentina she had this, which I have my number, which is the number I have at my account, which is exactly the number which I moved the whole of my accounts, publishments, and everything I've been doing in communications, and the whole emplacement for International Criminal Court, the license office, direct networks, which I am using still. Now this Android, which the first that I ever bought were a simple LG 190. And after I got robbed on the same desk line, in Avenida Avellaneda, while accompanying my mother in a very Saturday, I bought my mattress. And after my mattress, my mother said, come on, I'm going to give you a gift, and still rubbing my chops and rubbing what were sent to me and people wanted to helping me with, but murdering and robbing what they had, saying because of messing our businesses. My mother says to me, for you to have for gaming around. And this is a very limited firmware and is limited in all. And suddenly I was sending mails and a lot of things through this with a very struggle moments and disasters, but I came with an Android. And the Android were all through my worst moment since the right moment came. Kidnapped, treated like a demon, forced in a very staying like a demon and making up more the generations which never happened and never were true for the business of this lacra enferma reventada, pretender of government and rights for. And the sickness of them, borda, pretending I do have my criteria and I will have a denial, but the truth is at last they are criminals and they are gonna die. Like that. Shit. But further this, the clear fact of the soul delivered into. I kept this line and she segnated herself and trespassed titularly, the titularity to my person in Claro, Argentina, offices client attention right in the lobby, direct attention with her DNA and her own will, the right titularly or titularly to my person legally, and given me no paper, and I asked them, oh, the responsible to come were already, and the evidences are as well. In Flores de generación, degenerada mierda, podrida mierda, which also turns to saying that I damaged them. Soy amigo de la presidenta, yo no escucho nada más, yo voy a escuchar solamente lo que dice la presidenta. And talk to making this, that I wouldn't accede into the having nothing, and were sending me certain elements which I still have some class of appeals, which not payment to, and not denouncing what the number, but at my name, but Claro, Argentina, like client, which is this line. And in the middle of this all, they said couldn't give me no paper to affordably notice legally that the line were mine. Well, it is and it were. And whereof Elvira Ballester, which identity I just gave, which were given to this 76-years-old woman, which passed away this year. All through Alfonsín, President of Argentina, instaurated the Democrat period, which were a fraud anyway, just like today and every season. Because of always were Sodoma-Milicos degenerados, making the same man, selecting and choosing and putting, what do I do with you now? And what do I do with those? Malicos de mierda, sorry the word, degenerados. So in the middle of this reality, kept on making the same all on and producing the same class of shit. And through this, kept on producing and promoting same class of shit, and never started doing different. And never done no other. And all through this, making the backstage, like the rest all of the supposed corporations, pretending to taking the whole of corporations in Argentina, to saying for the nation, bracing shit for the patriot. And in the middle of this all, saying that they had rights to taking me and doing with me, and about me, whatever they wanted, that they will never be the bride Akimonanruba, the most ever supremacy and distinguishment of the superiority that I exist and not me. Degenerada mierda. So in the middle of the soul, TER to keep on making the same, and backstaging with tribunales de generada mierda acá y Aníbal Fernández, y su maldita legión de pedófilos, just like him, making the chat over this number would be robbed with the cell phone that I got. And I bought it free, like the first ever I had, but the Nokia that my granny gave me. And I kept the line. And that my granny gave me, I will ever sell it for 100 pesos. So I said to my neighbor, Carlos Acodia, and said, do you want it? All right, give it to me. The oldest are the bestest. And he kept it. Maybe he has a better one now. But whatever. And I kept the line. So in the middle of this all, I moved liaison office, denounces, I moved communications, I moved photos, I moved videos, I moved everything like justice parties would never imagine. And I want that telephone because of that, it's everything I need. And the line, because of its legal part. So claro, Argentina, degenerada, repodrida mierda, still theirs. And murdering innocents with maricas Sodoma, them bodies, that stages any shit around, and perras degeneradas acá, that's they were the boldly fag, serve the word, of Plaza Flores, making the, oh, and do you know anything? And whenever I just pass by, oh, I can be blessísimo, blessed he heard, and making the deflective shit that has in the brain. Naturally this, perras del infierno. So in the middle of this reality, I just went through this point, and I'm found Oken, which it were denounced for about 8 years ago, and 5 years ago, and 2 years ago, and saying enough. That says that I should give in the line that will be robbed by me, and Claro doesn't want to releasing, saying that I should pay them for damages, and Christina KIRSCHNERS is the only to her, and to be hearing, and because she will be right, that I will rob what my granny gave me, what I always had, that I've been using for this, because of they says were them and not I. And also, the 12 payments Campo Mundo Flores place, store, but Nativa MasterCard of Irena Rodami that supposedly never existed, and never would be given credit for this Android that is destroyed by the Tenacious disguises. And some fails around for my doggy and accidents of mine. And sometimes I love it. For the unresponsive and whatever I wish this to be different and not be here. At the real of this and all through, and still for more. Tells to keep on making the same, saying, oh, we don't do it here. Now let's go because of the line and the cell phone were robbed and we can't have it. Las mismas perras degeneradas that tells to make it sus, telling that I should pay them for damages because of the whole I've done will be theirs and they will show, and my identity will ever be theirs. Eli shall Eli blanco de mí. At the whatever they determine it's got to be. And then perras de cuarta, considered being attorneys of perra de cuarta, Kirchner, are exactly the perros degenerados that goes with the whole of the forgery and bragueta sucia, enfiebrada, reventada, Argentina uniformada, saying, we say it is, or we kill you. So in the middle of the soul, not only happens this, but also more people kidnapped and raped and murdered, saying that they have rights. And that they are not going to allow. This to be a difference. This to be a different story. And this to be nothing else to come done, which it is exactly what I'm saying now. So in the middle of the soul, for the saying truth and putting orders, Evangelista, al infierno te vas, con el perdón de víctimas. Y del infierno no salís, shalá. Y toda tu lacra defendida, perras infernales creídas de autoridades, puestas por no sé qué clase de diablo al que te atreves a ponerle nombre de Dios. Perra infernal. Sorry for this. So in the middle of the clear of facts for the soul, to the putting in clear. For the say this, not only this, but the whole of my account, there will be all damns and they will prove. By the witchcraft, by the witches, by the profanation, by the degeneration, and studying how do I express, how do I say, how do I do, how do I move, how do I think, how do I feel. Saying that they can sterilize me, and they can having my DNA, and they can having my spirit given by evangelics, that thirst to keep on making the same. And keeps on making the, oh come on, you stay here, let me, call the witches, put it on evangelics in the name of Jesus. You are, oh my God, you are already an expertise. I bought my person. Maricas, KIRSCHNERS, perras del infierno, everyone, all. And keeps on making the same circus, and prostituta reventada judicida keeps on saying that I should be in jail because I've offensed her. Abominations kept on making about my person and putting genocides up on my name and my backs. And there's to saying I offense the whore, the sick genocider, suicider, criminal shit, CFK, and the bodies. And there's to keep on saying that they have rights. And to sending to murder people and saying, he didn't realize yet. And I'm going to tell you what is that I didn't realize. Betlisi remepech pachamatim, al kiver refan masvet visoshpatika. Gela revefech matliki spatiki revethom atlevesoshpatika retisvatlesem. Shkledika niatlak numachmatsem. Beblika revefech levesot levesishpatika marevesmat asmat levisvotik ishvesin. Alla ki reveter revisivisove. Alla ki revefech lachamat levisot legishmat leglika maspatika. Betlikin rishmat seshoshmetsimad. Leoliki revech levetloki rema beliviside. Shelveshove, shelvekovam, shelvetoram balke revefech amaplegi visot levesmis shvita. Kelly Karim Havel Bloat Lavaspet as a shove. Seklika remefechil, but lekima remefechol leves massivesesh. Gelovatikan raven, tleroma plech machalvisim. Gelroma plech machalvesop levesesh vatimasevar. De klikken revefech motse vil bleves vat levesish mativama. Olke revech matlech visos levis matlevidim. Al blekin revefech lakich vesosab leves masivat. Il kotek klikamarach lech machal vesotismi. My mother supposedly is not my mother, my sisters supposedly are not my sisters, and I supposedly the liar. Schizoidly too much and paranoidly, with supposedly substance consuming. Glervefech matsidu plavesva, tika chama plevisma, zegliki revefech holechama plevisos levisestim. I supposedly have lost everything, but se le hicimos acá, se le hicimos. And all the world saying, be dead, sons of hell. To this all. Betlisen revefech mochalikives, sotlikives, matikam, betlisen revefech lachamatlechi, voat levesashvatikam atlekim. Alki revefech machal lesivis sofer. Needs my laptop because of I have been doing the whole I've done. And says that belongs to Policía Federal Argentina and the corporations. Maricas reventadas, perras 666 KIRSCHNERS. Nosotros hicimos la publicidad y también hicimos los honores al gobierno de Israel y de los Estados Unidos y de la Corte Criminal Internacional. Lo hicimos nosotros y nos robó y nos estuvieron estafando y pretendieron hacerlo pasar como el que lo hacía él. ¿A vos te parece ni siquiera hablando de computadora? Se lo limitamos para que se vea lo que nosotros hacemos, es la forma que nosotros podemos controlar. No nos dejamos acceder a nada y ahí mostramos, lo hicimos todos nosotros. Beplesin rebepech machalcham, beplesi vastlechmisa shvatlikir rebepech matzibavim. Aletika rebephecha al blesimo blesfosim. Leelaki rebepech lachisar, leelaki rebephecha levsmot levesishvatim. Belki rebephecha lachamabit at kimidisher, kimiseveklaki rebepech mot vesashol. Svektika maar rebefech man. Sleki rebefech met soshmatika beltika rebefech halevesmosim. And my 20 account will be theirs. And the number not released because of, it is a stolen number, you cannot touch it, 20, you have no rights because of, we have the president of Argentina, tribunales is saying no, he cannot because of he's a criminal. And I were asking for the portability to transfer the number that I have rights to give, that is mine, and not the perras degeneradas that says that kept taking my identity, my life, and it's me now! Delirante perra del infierno. Everyone. And murdering people, when I ever tell them like that, they're not expecting they do too, and I'm gonna put them off that. It's enough. Betlisin Ramaplech Masivan, tribunales te voy a arrancar la existencia dentro de poco y te voy a sacar el delirio de ser señores y que vos mandás y vos serías el juez y enseñarías qué es lo que se tiene que hacer y qué sería ley argentina de tu maldito recto, perra abominada, con el perdón de algunos pelotudos. Gen Ramaplech Masije Libifop Levespactica, Rebech Masi Libisfotikim Rebefes Masiva. Y vos, perro acá, todavía delirás. Enfermito, degeneradito, atrofiado, trolo violento, ¿todavía delirás? ¿Todavía te crees estrella que manda y que dice qué es y quién no es? Y que hasta que no muestre un poco de respeto, le vamos a seguir haciendo lo mismo. Y cuando muestro respeto, me mandaste para que me violen y me maten a mi familia y a todo lo que queda, pedazo de perra. ¿Te pensaste que soy pelotudo, criminal de cuarta? ¡Putazo! Remoplech masaj al-kim, sorry the words. Anlikian rebefech mahal visivitan. Skalcheta shvita halekim rebefech hubat. Amblekim rebefech livisos livisemeser. Engleki rebeplech pachavetam. Ansa shleki bachaveja. Versmot livisapteja. Mentivos apliteveja. Le pagaste a los evangélicos lo que no les dañé. Le pagaste a las perras que nunca hicieron lo que yo hice, que me roban, que te crees que podés dar. Diciendo porque dañé al gobierno y le pagaste a la mierda acá de lo que me tenías que pagar a mí por daños, diciendo hasta que no muestres respeto vamos a seguir haciendo esto, cuando respete te voy a matar, perra criminal, genocida de mierda, marica infernal, Argentina, con el perdón de víctimas. Que Rama Plechma Sejalí, no te estoy instigando ni provocando, te voy a arrancar la vida, perra degenerada, viciada, perra degenerada. Sodoma y Gomorra. Sos lo que sos, KIRSCHNERS. Te lo acabo de decir. Sodoma y Gomorra. Betlisan rebefech machal bechtimi savim. Alki rebefech al pleves fasibav. Alikem rebechal mesivi. Betika rima plechar ambleki visofinim. No deliro, no deliré, no deliraré. Y tus perras todavía no lo secuestraron. Todavía no secuestran. Ay, no lo secuestraron todavía. Maricas de la penitenciaria y todo trolazo uniformado creído de Estrella Nacional. Y tus perras acá. ¡Ah! ¡Está delirando! ¿Todavía delira? ¡Ay, por favor! Te voy a arrancar la vida. Perra de cuarta. Remoplech maseja livisok lekish fasim. Enklech remoplech livisos pletivar. Aklekima rebefecha tima. En se shable vesimapli, bertiki rebefecho ablevesef. Il kimat lekiva amplevesor. Todavía no lo sé, que yo no adivino, puto. Y no voy a adivinar. Yo tengo avistamiento o advertencia o advenimiento por parte de mi Dios, con el perdón de los términos Adonai, el cual conoces perfectamente bien y te va a poner muerto y yo con él. Y lo voy a disfrutar. Perrazo, marica, perra de Sodoma y Gomorra, adivino de cuarta, trollo, trola. Bertlisan remeplech machal besikamav, Bertlika rebefech alchim tobeshavim, Bertlika rebefech labesfot lebisechimim, inkobleki vachpat pasef. So I am exterminated. I am bad educated. I didn't want to close. Sorry. HTTPS www. Puta, te creíste. KIRSCHNERS y asociados. Puta. Sorry this, sorry the words, pardon bad, French. DMICV 4143, middle CS middle ODRM 4148.90 system recall. F5 and F7. This is going to last for about a couple of hours. I don't like these terms at my side, but they earn said. The problem is I don't need them. Neither has. I'm sorry, Mr. President, Melecha, Your Honors, I'm sick of this and I'm sick of the words and saying I'm sorry. I feel lousy and I feel like the Salam. I am class battalion with this. And I'm not blaming you and I'm sorry. Please be safer there and I don't know what am I going to do. I'm sick of this all. This is Sweden Stay, 25th, 2015. 1738.